Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special Ferndale City Council meeting for Monday, May 14th, 2012. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmembers Galloway.
Here.
Lennon. Martin.
Here.
Piana. Here. Mayor Coulter.
Here, yes, thank you. We have a quorum this evening. The next item of business would be the approval of the agenda. Any questions, comments, additions, and deletions to the agenda this evening?
Move to accept the agenda.
Support.
Moved by Martin, supported by Galloway. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, can I call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Galloway.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Piana. Yes. Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. The agenda is adopted. Our next item of business would be call to audience. Is there anyone from the audience this evening that would like to address council on any issue that is not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is the main order of business for our relatively brief meeting this evening, and that is a public hearing on the fiscal year 2013 city budget. I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address council on the adoption of our year 2013 budget this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll move on to the actual adoption of the budget. City Manager, perhaps you could introduce this item for us.
What council has before them is an adjusted budget from the original recommended. As we had discussed the last previous meetings, staff and I had looked at the budget and did try to find some cost adjustments. We lowered our contingencies by $100,000 and our public improvement by $25,000. By doing that for both fiscal year 13 and 14, we are recommending a millage rate of 3.5 for the Headley portion of 3.5 for fiscal year 2013, which is down from the original recommended of 3.75. And then for fiscal year 2014, we are recommending a 4.6 millage rate for the Headley portion, which is down from 4.85. Again, this is a 2-year budget. This is our second cycle with that. And I am asking that you accept our recommended changes.
Wonderful. Are there any questions for clarification from council? If not, a motion would be in order.
I would move that we adopt the fiscal year in 2013 and 2014 budget as submitted by the city manager.
Support. That would be moved by Galloway and supported by Piana. Now, any comments, questions on the budget this year?
I don't have any questions. I'll just make one comment or two comments. First off, I just want to congratulate April and the staff. They did a really nice job putting the budget together for a first year this year, so I really do appreciate that. I am going to vote for the budget. I do still have some concerns about the water and sewer fund. There were questions I raised last time, but I wouldn't. The fund itself is already running into a deficit, and I don't want to exacerbate the problem any further with the increase that's there, the 9% or so increase that's there. So I do still want to look into that, but I don't have an issue voting for it at this point.
And just on that point, as we look into this further and get more detail, we can certainly make mid-year adjustments. We could make an adjustment next week if we
absolutely
so decide. So this allows us to move forward on this. And
That's correct.
Yep.
And I guess the comment I would make is first to echo what Councilman Martin said. This was my, I guess, first year of having a full year in the budget cycle, and I want to congratulate our staff. This was another really difficult year. I know it may have seemed easy. You know, the process worked really smoothly up here at the table, but I know that's because the staff did a lot of hard work in coming up with the creative ideas and the pinching of the pennies to help us allow us to do this again. And in fact, it includes continued sacrifices from our employees. Once again, our employees did not get pay increases this year, and our two largest bargaining units, police and fire, both took concessions this year. So this was really another challenging year. We're not out of the woods financially yet as a city. We took another 7% reduction in revenues due to loss in property value declines this year. So we are not out of the woods yet, but we were able to maintain a budget that kept services at a level that residents told us that they wanted them at last year. And so I applaud the staff and my colleagues on council really for coming up with a budget that is at only 3.5%, a 3.5% Headley rate, when it could have been much worse. So great job to the staff. Thank you. Any other comments on the budget? Otherwise, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Council members Martin?
Yes.
Piana? Yes. Galloway?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. The budget is adopted. We'll move on to the consent agenda. There's a couple of items on the consent agenda this evening. I will read them both, and then we'll do these in one motion unless someone wants to talk about them separately. Item A would be the approval to adopt a resolution authorizing travel for Council Member Piana to attend the Detroit Regional Chamber's 2012 Mackinac Policy Conference, on May 22nd to the 24th. And B, approval of the contract for parking lot and street resurfacing with Al's Asphalt Company in Taylor, Michigan, and submitted by the DPW Director.
I would move that we adopt the consent agenda in its entirety.
Second.
Moved by Galloway, supported by Martin. Are there any questions, comments, discussion on the consent agenda this evening?
One item. I just wanted to note that the dates for the conference are really the 29th, 30th, and 31st. I got that wrong when I submitted it. Okay, so I'm not going to be home at that time. And then I wanted to just say that I'm getting a significant discount from the Detroit Regional Chamber for this event. This is my third year going, and I always appreciate council for supporting my attendance there. Registration is $2,700, and I'm getting a $500 rate scholarship. So really is less expensive for me to attend, so thank you.
Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Council members Piana?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. The consent agenda is adopted. And
Your Honor, I noted Council's adopted the budget for the next 2 years. There is, as part of your material, a resolution which would establish the specific taxes to be levied in order to satisfy that budget, which is in your material, both the tax rates as well as the water rates and sewer rates that will support that budget that Council has now adopted. So I think it would be appropriate for Council to consider approving the resolution that is included within the Council packet to establish and levy the taxes that would support the budget.
I would move that we adopt the resolution to provide a levy of taxes and water sewer rates and sanitation fees for fiscal years 2012 through 2013 and fiscal year in 2014 as prepared in our packets.
is there support?
Support.
Moved by Galloway, supported by Piana. Any discussion on that motion? Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Council members Galloway?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Piana? Yes. Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That motion is adopted. With no further business to come before the Ferndale City Council this evening, we are adjourned.